distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, I'm truly delighted to be here to address you on G20. India's G20 presidency is being held at a point of time when there are several global challenges. The post-COVID era has seen a vast number of people go below poverty line. A very large number of people, close to about 100 million people, have actually lost their jobs because of COVID. We are seeing huge challenges in terms of climate action and climate finance. There's a challenge of food, fuel, and fertilizer. If you look around the world, 1/3 of the world is facing recession. 75 countries in the world are facing a global debt crisis. And on top of all this, you're having an unabated war for over a year and a half in Europe. And therefore, the world is full of challenges. We in India view these challenges as an opportunity because during G20, our ambition, as the Prime Minister has said, is to be inclusive, to be very decisive, to be ambitious, and to be action-oriented. Our presidency has been very different from any other country because in most countries, the G20 is held in one city or maximum two cities. It's very unlike doing a World Cup in Qatar where you do it for about 21 days or doing a World Cup in cricket, which we do in India for about 15 days. G20 is through the year. And therefore, we use this opportunity to take G20 out into every single state of India, every single state of India. We've covered over 60 cities and used this opportunity to improve infrastructure in all these cities. So when you go to these cities, you will see drainage, sewage, solid waste, all roads, all infrastructure getting improved in all these cities. The second is we took it to the people of India, and every single citizen of India was involved in G20 in some manner or the other. And for the first time, foreign policy and diplomacy reached every single household of India. The other key issue has been that this presidency is being hosted at a point of time when India has emerged as the 5th largest economy in the world, and we are likely to be the 3rd largest economy in the world by 2027. Ladies and gentlemen, we've done a lot during the last 7-8 years. We've built about 40 million houses, which is like making a house for every Australian. We've made about 110 million toilets, which is like making a toilet for every single citizen of Germany. We've provided 223 million piped water connections, which is like providing a water connection to every single citizen of Brazil. We've made 55,000 kilometers of road, and during the COVID period, we've provided COVID vaccination almost paperless to 2.2 billion people of India. So the political leadership and the development story of India is quite a phenomenal story of what we've done in the last 7 to 8 years. And as the Bank of International Settlement has said, in the digital transformation story of India, where we do about 46% of the real fast time payments in the world, we do 11x of what USA and Europe do. We do 4x of what China does. It's what we've achieved in 7 years is equivalent to what India normally would have achieved in 50 years' time. But let me come to the priorities which India is putting forth in the G20. And the first and foremost to our mind is that the world must have strong, sustained, balanced, and inclusive growth, which is critical for the world. Second is to accelerate the pace of sustainable development goals because only 12 of the 169 SDGs are on track right now. And you need to accelerate the pace of learning outcomes, health outcomes, nutritional standards, and make it inclusive. And that is critical. And the third key priority is that climate action and climate finance are very critical. The world may survive, but we'll all go extinct if we are not able to live up to 1.5 degrees centigrade. We have not carbonized the world, but irrespective of the fact that we occupy only 1.3% of the carbon space, it is incumbent upon all of us to actually play a very key and a critical role in carbon action, and therefore the Prime Minister's philosophy of lifestyle for sustainable development. And fourthly, For both SDG and climate action, you need long-term finance. And therefore, the multilateral financial institutions which were built post-World War II during the post-Bretton Woods period need to be greatly redesigned and reformulated so that they move away from direct lending to indirect lending and are able to generate resources from the private sector, do blended finance, first loss guarantees, credit enhancement. There's no shortage of funds in the world. There's $350 trillion. The world needs $7 trillion, but $350 trillion are available, $150 trillion with pension funds themselves. But you need multilateral financial institutions to be able to mobilize them for both SDG and climate action. And then our priority is technological transformation and digital public infrastructure, which India has built up, which to our mind, if you look around the world, 4 billion people do not have a digital identity, 3 billion people do not even have a bank account, almost 133 countries do not even have fast payments. So if you want to do inclusive development and focus on SDG, you need technological transformation with digital public infrastructure. And lastly, our priority of the Prime Minister has been that women-led development, that is women empowerment and gender equality, will be very critical, and women have to be put into positions of leadership so that we can enhance their learning outcomes, we can improve their health standards, break this huge vicious cycle of malnutrition. And if women are going to be 50% of the population, they really need to move the world needle, because as the World Economic Survey says, World Economic Forum says that it will take 132 years to bring gender parity. We do not have 132 years. We have just about a decade. And therefore, that is a key priority for India. So ladies and gentlemen, India's G20 presidency has been inclusive, it has been decisive, it has been very action-oriented, and to our mind, we've taken this G20 to the people of India and tried to transform the very structure and make a paradigm shift by focusing on the global south, which to our mind is very critical, because as the IMF says, this year 80% of the growth is going to come from the global south. Next 2 decades, 2/3 of the global growth is going to emerge from global south simply because the demographics are in their favor. The population in these countries is young. The population in the western part of the world is aging. And therefore, if growth is going to come to these parts of the world, you need financial flows to take place to the global south. Unfortunately, the international financial structure and the multilateral financial institutions are not designed for that, and that's one of our key priorities. So ladies and gentlemen, we look forward to the Leaders Summit, which will be the key. The Leaders Summit will have the New Delhi leaders' statement, and we look forward to a very, as the Prime Minister said, a very inclusive, decisive, forward-looking, and an ambitious, action-oriented leader's statement. These negotiations are presently on every day, and every word is hotly contested. Every word is debated between 20 countries. It's a very tough and arduous task, but I can assure you that India will more than deliver on G20. Thank you very much, ladies.